So the movie that we're talking about here today, it's got a few lies, a little bit of danger, and yeah, I just kind of figured they would have a slightly more poetic title than that, or a more creative one. But yeah, no use overthinking it. That's the title, and we got to stick with it. So there you go. Cue the music. What's up, everybody? How's it going? How's everybody doing today? Welcome back to the channel. So the movie we're talking about today is called Dangerous Lies, if you couldn't already figure that out. And this is a brand new Netflix original film. Original film. It's a good one. But in all seriousness, guys, I know it sounds like I'm kind of harping on the movie, and I am a little bit, but to be completely honest, the movie really wasn't that bad. Granted, the movie did squander a little bit of its potential from being, as good as it possibly could have been. But the reality is this movie could have been a whole hell of a lot worse, and it's a movie, so it employed hundreds of people, and if anybody puts this on a resume, it's not going to be a gigantic shit stain on that resume. So overall, I put that in the win column, despite the fact that it's ever so slightly in the win column and not a slam dunk necessarily. But the basic plot of the movie, it centers around this young couple who are, just getting ready to start their lives together, and they're working, going to school, blah, 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 and the girl is actually a caregiver to an older man. And then at a certain point, something tragic happens with that old man, and then there's a whole bunch of weird things that start happening, and then it turns into this kind of weird mystery thrillery kind of movie. And if the title wasn't enough to spell it out for you, this movie is very, very predictable. But like I said, the movie's not all bad. The movie does have a lot of positives to it, the most notable of which is probably the opening scene, even if the rest of the movie gets a little iffy after that. Now, the opening scene of this movie is really solid because A, it sets up our two main characters very, very quickly, and also it gives you this really, really, really tense kind of attention-grabby scene to start you off with. And on top of that, it wasn't just a throwaway scene. It was very significant to the two characters we're going to follow. So it was a very, very succinct, very logical opening to the movie, I thought. But shortly after that, you notice some flaws in the directing, and it's just it gets a little bit lackluster after that. And overall, I would say the acting, it wasn't horrible, but in the grand scheme of things, I think it was operating at about maybe like 70% out of 100. Most of the characters did decently, but everybody had at least one moment where I was kind of like, The older man in the movie, particularly, the one that the young girl is supposed to be a caregiver for, I really did not like his acting performance because it felt like he was in some commercial that had nothing to do with the movie and didn't really, really fit the tone, in my opinion, which is partially the script's fault, but I feel like the performance, he could have done more with what he was given. And I could also say that just about the rest of this movie. Like, they could have done really a little bit more with what they were given. Like, the music wasn't terrible, but it had some really good moments, but overall, for the most part, it just could have been a lot better. And also, the cinematography wasn't anything special, which nor did it really need to be necessarily, but again, it could have had a little bit more creativity and it would have added to the film, I think. I have to say the absolute worst part of the movie, though, was just the utter predictability of almost everything in the movie. And it wasn't even predictable just because of the genre that it's in, it's just that the movie kind of just over-telegraphed a lot of different things so that by the time the ending rolled around, you're like, okay, I pretty much saw all of that coming. There's really no surprises there. And when I say it's over-telegraphing, I mean they're giving you several clues about the same thing over and over again so that it's like, dude, yeah, I know, I can see what's happening here. I did, however, like one moment of foreshadowing that's fairly early in the movie, and it's just a conversation between the main couple. I thought that was pretty good. But then after that, they started showering you with a bunch of other over-exposition that kind of like overcrowded that, and it wasn't as effective, I don't think. Because at that point, you're taking a lot of the mystery away from the movie, and the movie is a mystery thriller, so if you take half of that equation out of there, you're left with not the best product you can have. But now that I brought up that opening scene, I do have to say the chemistry between the two main leads, I thought that was pretty good. They did a pretty decent job with that, with what they were given. I did, at the end of the day, I really did believe that these two people were a couple, and that's, as actors, that's what they're supposed to do. Even if the script kind of, overdid it as far as trying to convey that to you. And there was also, I know I harp on the movie for being predictable, but there was a couple good narrative turns, or narrative additions, I guess I should say, that made the story that much more interesting throughout the movie. And those little extra narrative bits were enough to really keep my attention throughout the entire movie. Even if it was subpar, I still was interested in what was going to happen. But basically, overall, I would say this movie had just enough going for it and just enough merit to actually warrant somebody actually watching it at least once. But if I'm being as straightforward as I can be, I'm probably never going to watch this movie again, but if I was stuck watching it, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. So I think for a score out of 10, I think I'm going to give it like a 6.3. It could have been a whole lot worse, but it also could have been a whole lot better, so it is what it is. But anyway, guys, those are my thoughts. What are your thoughts? Have you guys seen this movie? Have you even heard of it yet? Hop in the comments. Let me know what's up. Other than that, if you like this review, give me a like, subscribe, share, hit the bell, do all that other YouTube-y type of shit, and I will catch you guys next time.